Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha. Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. All right. So anyway, our next topic is oh fuck. What was it? I have it written down.
One thing you would change.
Oh yeah.
About a movie,
About
television
a movie.
show,
Everyone,
book, just some
so this episode's gonna
work
go
of
20
fiction.
minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
Wait, there's 5 of us. Fuck.
25.
That works
30
out. 4
minutes.
minutes. 4 minutes
minutes
each.
each,
Yeah,
yeah,
that works
okay.
out.
And we got to introduce ourselves.
Yep.
Because we don't want to forget again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
Gabe.
want to forget who I am. I'm Isaac.
I'm Arlen.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Vanessa.
All right. Anyway, we're gonna start. We're gonna pick the people who have not talked a lot these sessions first. We're gonna start with Vanessa. Vanessa, you have 4 minutes. Pick a thing in movies, TV, or literature, whatever you want. What's one dynamic you change in like one thing, and why?
That's a difficult topic. Okay. Something I would change off the top of my head. I'll just pick something I've read recently. Recently, I read a book called Recreation Blues. Yep, I always get that wrong. Reincarnation Blues.
I mentioned it last
Yep.
session.
So essentially it's a story about a guy who has 10,000 lives that he gets to live, and in order to achieve perfection and exit the cycle. Something that he basically really enjoys being dead and kind of doesn't like having to live for various reasons, but at the same time doesn't want to exit the cycle because he likes dying. I
Like
don't
he
know,
gets a
I don't wanna
high off
spoil
of it.
Read the book.
Read the
All
book.
right.
I wouldn't exactly interpret it that way, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, you read the jacket of the book, and that's what it says. So something that I would change is that throughout the book, you get to hear about his last 5 lives, and the characters, I guess, that kind of help him choose the lives that he gets to live when he's dead are a character called Mama, who's like kind of like this Earth Mother lady, and then a woman called Nan, who's like a creepy cat lady. And they kind of are supposed to guide him in picking a new life to live in order to achieve perfection. Like, hey, you did really great at this, and you did shit at this. But I feel like in the book, they don't actually help him at all. Like,
That's true.
that's true, right?
Yeah.
And they're just there, and they don't give him any advice other than being like, oh, this worked for someone, and it's not tailored to him at all. Like, they've known him for like 9,995 lives, and they're just there as these really, like, you want them to be great characters, but they're just not helpful at all. Like, they seem to be introduced as really critical people because they're the ones who either make him go into oblivion or they, like, help him go through the sun door or whatever. And this is nothing. They just do nothing other than, like, make him shut up while they watch, like, a bunch of TV shows and have cats crawling around. Like, I don't know. That's something I would change, is I would actually, like, he's lived a lot of lives, and not all of them have been great, and he's supposed to be this wise man on Earth, and he still has these 2 characters that are supposed to help him, and they're like pieces of the universe. He seems to be like wiser than them, and they don't help him at all, and I feel like he teaches them a lesson, and instead of like the universe teaching him a lesson, which is a cool concept, but I feel like that's maybe not what they were supposed to be doing in the book, and I would change maybe how the characters of the universe, like, influence his choices, because they're just no help at all. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I would change.
All right. We'll go with Isaac next. Millsy boy,
Me.
what do you got?
What do I got? There's a lot. Could do
You get
different
one
things.
thing.
One thing.
You
One
get
thing.
One thing you absolutely can change.
Absolutely could change. Probably, I think going back to Divergent, which I don't actually think I got the end result. Does anybody make it to the end of that?
No.
Nobody
the
made it to
movies?
Not the movie. I don't
The
think they've
book?
even made the third movie.
No, they made the third movie, but they split it into two parts. And the second part 2 never got made.
The
Rough.
second half never got made.
Rough.
Wow, if that doesn't tell you about the ending of that series, then you really should take a hint from that. I think also the author herself was severely disappointed with her
Also-
own ending.
I think I've
Damn.
read Hunger Games, so I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. They
Yeah.
win, right?
You've read Hunger Games? Okay, it ends very differently from Hunger Games.
Okay.
I'm making a joke because I'm an asshole. Anyway, continue.
Um,
So what would you
you
change?
just
about,
derailed me.
What would you change
Okay, I'm just
about
gonna
What,
say-
what would you change about
Yeah,
that?
what did I change about that? So, I don't know if I can say it without like totally ruining it for everybody.
Spoilers
though.
are
Spoiler, wait,
inherent
wait,
to
wait,
this.
spoiler
Spoiler-
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Spoiler wave. Gabe's waving his hand. That means
Spoilers.
spoilers.
All
Rage
right.
spoilers.
All right. So
Arlen,
that,
shut the fuck up. We don't wave again until the fucking spoilers are over. I'm sorry,
At the
Arlen.
end
I
of
didn't
the
mean to yell at
episode.
you.
intense.
The end of the
At
episode.
the end of the episode, because that's probably how long Isaac's gonna take.
No,
I'm
just like
sorry.
we're all gonna have
We're
spoilers
all gonna
in
be
this.
doing spoiling everything.
Mine won't be a
everything we
spoiler.
talk.
Mine's
right.
from like 2003.
Shut
so
up.
If anyone's
Fair enough. Anyway, Divergent.
All
What
right.
would
Yeah.
you change?
So, all right. The story over the whole series is pretty inspirational, right? Like
Right.
this character kind of builds herself up and becomes a powerful character. But the end of the story is she's, running down the hall to push the final button that's going to save everyone in the world, and it's going to be fantastic. Everyone's going to be fine.
The magic
And
button
it's
that will
the
fix
moment
everything.
where in every story, right, either the hero makes it or there's a heroic sacrifice.
Right.
The book ends with her getting confronted with the guy who's running it all, the big evil
Right.
mastermind,
Right.
who she takes out, effectively pretty much takes him out.
Right.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Goes for the button and he shoots her in the back.
Oh.
ooh.
And she dies.
And it's over.
And she makes it, she can push the button, right? But it's not a heroic sacrifice or anything like that.
She just
it's
dies.
this spiteful, just like her panicked death trying to get to the button, and then I finally hit the button and then dies.
Oh, she hit the button.
She
she
makes it
hits
to
the
the button.
button.
Yeah,
Oh,
everyone's
no.
It'd be more
okay.
interesting if,
If
she
she didn't
hit the button.
If
And
she
it's
didn't hit the
like,
button,
no.
it would be, yeah, who knows? But it,
So what you're saying is you just change whether or not she hit the button.
well, here's the thing though, right? After that, you'd expect the next part of the story to be the, aftermath. This person died. It was
Right.
kind of ugly, not really a most heroic-ish ending, but all right. It's like we
Right.
could get on with this if all the other characters are, get on with their lives and figure it out from there, right? I think the final moments are number 4, who is her effectively her boyfriend in the
Right.
in the series, is sitting at the top of this tower trying to kill himself. That's the end of the story. He's considering killing himself, and then he decides to go for this other girl who's like, "Hey, I like you." And he's like, "You know what? I guess since she's dead, I like you too." And that's the end of the story. It's like, what am I supposed to take away from this? Better make do.
As
long
When
as
it
she's
doesn't
dead.
work,
anymore.
just go with what you got, guys. Just go
Alright.
with what you got. So
End
I
of the-
changed that ending.
Love the one
End
you
of the
win.
spoilers.
End of
End of
spoilers.
spoilers?
End of spoilers.
Spoiler wave.
Okay.
Spoiler wave. All right, you can continue, people. Dumb bitches. Anyway, I guess I'll go.
Sure.
I'll go.
You wanna hand me a Smith and Forge?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna do the one I originally was gonna do.
We're
which
not
was
being
just,
paid by Smith and Forge to say the name Smith and Forge on our
We
channel.
We just
Smith and
enjoyed
Forge.
their cider.
Yes.
On
We
our
just
channel,
really
Smith and
enjoyed
Forge.
this.
Anyway, so one thing I changed. I'm not gonna do the original one which I was going to do, which I always say just to piss off Arlen,
Yeah.
because he doesn't like it. But I won't bring it up till the end if we have time. Is I changed the movie Elf
Okay.
Not because I don't like the movie Elf.
Okay.
I enjoy the movie Elf. I think it's a very fun Christmas movie. But I would make a dark and gritty elf, and how I do that is I would just take out Buddy's point of view, and then just make it from the brother, the father, and the girlfriend's point of view. And then
Yeah.
just watching them see this person who claims to be from the North Pole just enter their lives.
When
And
the
that's what I
audience
would
doesn't
do.
know that he's actually from the North Pole, and so
Yeah,
the audience is just with them
knows
is like,
nothing. Take
what
out all
is-
the North Pole scenes.
and just have it
The
from,
only like
yeah,
Santa scene you have is when like they finally see him
at the
and it's
very
like,
end,
holy shit.
and you finally realize
And then
that he
you
was
still
actually
have to
telling the truth.
contemplate whether
Like,
or not this is a lie until he flies, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
that's what I change.
Yeah, that'd be actually. Yeah, I can't argue with that. That's really fascinating, actually, because the entire time you're just as wary of his shenanigans as everyone else, because you don't know if it's all true or bullshit, or if he's like escaped from a mental institute or something.
Exactly.
Word.
Word.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. No, I mainly picked it because I was like, what if you keep the scene
Yeah.
like his initial, because like the first scene is him like at the orphanage,
Right.
and then like it cuts to a scene of him like sneaking into Santa's bag.
Right.
Just cut to a scene of like him sneaking in the bag, and then cut to like 30 years later.
right.
That's why I do.
Yeah.
I like how mine causes everyone to be silent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that.
good.
It's
Yeah.
good,
I,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I'd be interested.
My
I'd watch that.
joke one that I was going to do is I've always pitched this in the TV series
Yeah.
Arrow. You should. Harlan knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Is I want a young Bruce Wayne to enter and have Oliver Queen train him, because all of the people that have trained Bruce Wayne in the comics were killed by Oliver Queen in Arrow. At one
That's
point
true.
or the other.
That is true.
And I tell
Oliver
Arlen
Queen
this,
has
and the
like
reason Arlen-
effectively killed all of the people that are supposed to train Batman.
And the reason Arlen is super pissed is because he's just like, the Green Arrow has no right to train the Batman. He doesn't deserve to train the Batman. And that's the argument Arlen has against it. Anyway, Jack, go.
Okay, so this kind of comes back to our conversation last week of retellings and remakes. But have any of you read the book or watched the Netflix original for Altered Carbon?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
I've watched a
It's still on my
bit
list.
of Altered Carbon. I've
So
watched a bit of the show. I
Both
haven't
are
read it.
great. Major spoilers for both.
Wait.
Spoilers.
In the TV show, okay, again, both are great. I definitely recommend either or both.
Yep.
But in the TV show, the main character and the main villain are brother and sister.
Right.
That's a major spoiler.
That's cool.
That's one of the
I like that.
only like central plot things that they changed from the book. And it's one of the few decisions that I like actually dislike what they changed from the book. There are things tweaked around. Some of them add really cool characters.
Mhm.
Some of them take out some weird fluff that you don't need in a slightly pared down story.
Right.
But that one alters the feel of the story, right? Because this
Wait,
is
so is it that in the book they're brother and sister, in the show they're not, or what was the change?
in the show they're brother and sister.
Okay.
In the book they're not.
Okay.
She's just some random lady
Okay.
that happens to be from the same world as him.
Right.
I think.
But they're not.
I'm not
related.
even sure if that's true.
Okay.
They've run into each other before. They
Right.
know each other, but they're not related.
Right.
They're not emotionally invested. He
yeah.
worked for her one time a couple hundred years ago, came away from the experience not liking her, and that is the extent of their relationship in the book.
Right.
In the movie, it's this deep personal thing about how he's the only important person in her life, and she really wants him to join her
Right.
in her madness.
Right.
Which is cool and all, and it's an interest. Like, I watched the show first,
Mhm.
and I enjoyed the plot line of that.
Right.
But reading the book gives you a much more classic cyberpunk feel of the main character is just another, like, he's a random dude with cool skills, and like he's relatable in certain ways and unrelatable in others, but he's basically just another face in the crowd. Like,
Right.
he is unique in a certain way, But the powers that be don't really care about him other than
Right.
as a tool, right? Not as their brother, not as someone impactful to their life. He's just another dude that's good at killing people.
Right.
And that's definitely more of the cyberpunk feel that it's not dissonant enough to be immersion breaking in the TV show,
Yeah.
but looking back at it after reading the book, you're like, that's kind of immersion breaking. That's a little weird. So
Kind
it's
of makes
kind
the
of a
world
cop out.
smaller in a way. Just
It-
like
it-
what are
yeah.
what are the chances?
It's kind of a cop out on the one thing I would
Yeah.
change because it's something I would unchange. But I think that's one pretty concise thing that I think would make the story more valuable, if maybe slightly less interesting.
Okay.
Finally, Arlen.
Okay. Let's see here. I was trying to think of if I could think anything better to talk about, but the first thing that came in my head, and I can't think of anything better, was Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman movie, which I will honestly argue is probably one of the best movies that DC has done with their new DC
That's
universe.
not hard to argue.
It's not hard.
It is, and
Because it
it's
is.
still shitty.
Well, the thing is that the only thing that I don't like about Wonder Woman movie is the very ending. Like, the rest of the movie I think is great. I was enjoying all of it wholeheartedly until we get to the end and they reveal that Professor Lupin, or the actor who plays Professor Lupin, is actually Ares, the god of war.
I forgot
god of
what,
war.
like, his fake human name
Yeah,
was as
I
well.
can't
also
remember.
have been
It's
calling
just
him
it's
Lupin.
Professor Lupin. Just
Yeah,
Professor
Lupin.
Lupin is in the movie, and it turns out that he's actually Ares, the god of war.
Wait, spoiler hand.
Spoilers, by the way.
I mean, it's too late now.
It's
but
far
it's
too
late.
fine, It's fucking.
You guys are done.
I'm sorry.
It's over,
I'm
it's
sorry I
ruined.
spoiled
Bring up the
Wonder
Arlen-
Woman.
Arlen,
We're off
I'd
the
have to say, out of all the things you could have said, I have to agree with that one.
But anyway,
Because
yeah.
who would you make Ares?
Okay, so the first thing I would do is I didn't like the actor who played him because it just I couldn't take him seriously as Ares. If they wanted him to if they still wanted the actor who played Lupin to be him in his disguise, that's fine. I just thought it
mustache.
was really weird that then when he reveals his true form as Ares, it's still the same actor and he still has that mustache, and it just looks really weird because it's now we just have this middle-aged British gentleman with a mustache who's now wearing CGI Greek armor, and it's just it's really weird. And then they just have a big CGI fight scene where he just throws tanks at Wonder Woman or wherever, and then she captures him in the lasso of truth and then defeats him and kills him and whatever, and then the war ends, which I think completely defeats the purpose of what the message of the movie was, because right before that, when she kills the German general that she thinks is actually Ares in disguise, and then the war's still going on and the Germans don't suddenly just stop fighting and she's all confused, and then Chris Pine's character has this beautiful monologue about how maybe it's just us. Maybe humans just aren't perfect and humans just cause our own problems, and there's no one, God that we can blame for everything. It's just us being stupid and making our own stupid decisions. And it's great. But then Ares does show up and Diana defeats Ares, and then the war does end, and it kind of completely negates that. And so what I would have done is, other than just completely taking out Ares entirely and just saying that Ares was never actually there, which some people have argued they should have just cut him out completely. Instead, what I would have done is still have Ares there and have him have a speech where he talks about the gods. He tells stories about Zeus and the other gods and talks about just how corrupt and shitty all of the gods were, and and you could and the movie could have actually drawn on stories from actual mythology showing just how petty and horrible all of the gods are, and saying I'm no worse than any of the other gods, and then doing a monologue talking about how he doesn't actually have any power to control humans, how humans have been fighting their own wars without him influencing them at all, and that all he does is draw power from their war and bloodshed. And the more they war, the more powerful he becomes, but he can't control them in any way. So all humans are fighting of their own accord. He just benefits from it. And then just have him leave. And
You know
just
what?
have him leave and disappear, and then have Diana just have to deal with that, and then find another way of then ending the war, which the peace accords were being signed to end the war anyway, so they didn't need to defeat Ares. And then the last thing I would do is then change the actor, which I would think I would have personally cast the actor who plays Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones to have been Ares instead of
You know what
Professor
I would have
Lupin.
done? I would have had Ares train Batman.
Oh my god.
No.
Have Batman be trained by
God,
the god of
Batman.
war.
have Batman be trained by Ares. And then Justice League wouldn't have sucked.
Yeah.
you
But
know what?
that's the thing that I would change.
Here's. I agree. I would change Ares in that movie if I could change any aspect. I would make it the PTSD Scotsman. I would make him be Ares instead of the British guy.
It
Here's
turns
the
out
main-
that he's Ares.
Yeah. Do you know how cool that would be?
That would be
Like,
interesting.
he's
I'm not
this
sure what
war-torn- He's this war-torn veteran who doesn't
Right.
like war. War terrifies him,
and it turns out that he's Ares.
and he's and it
Is it
turns
an
out that he's
act, or
Ares.
does he just have 10,000 years of shell shock?
10,000 years of shell shock is what I'm thinking.
Oh, and
'Cause
so
that guy's
Ares-
shell shock is terrible in that movie,
Right,
and
yeah.
I like that character. But
That would have been
here's
interesting,
here's
too.
why I would have changed the character that played Ares is because when I saw the actor who played Ares, when I saw that character walk on, the conversation they had, I went, "That guy's Ares."
Interesting.
I said that, and
and
then,
so then you would just sat.
I
and you were
watched it with
wrong.
2 other people, and they sat there, and they were like,
No.
"You're wrong," and I'm like, "He's totally fucking Ares," and then he was fucking Ares, and they're like, "God damn it." And so,
Lupin
having
guy.
it,
Yeah.
just be someone else,
Yeah.
and being someone that legitimately surprised me, especially if it was the shell shock guy, because you wouldn't expect Ares to have PTSD,
Right.
and having him unintentionally cause war, or maybe causing war to just purge humanity from the earth because of the shell shock, or whatever.
To be done. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it just follows him. He can't escape it.
yeah,
That would
That
be
could have
the,
been interesting too.
that would have been.
that would be
so
like
cool.
PTSD narrative. Here's this immortal being that war follows him, and make it a really personal story about all of our veterans coming back with PTSD, and when someone knocks on their door, they're like, "Fuck, it's people coming to kill me," right?
Right.
But for him, he's an immortal being that actually causes war to follow him, so it is someone trying to kill him.
So
And so,
basically, just
or
war
some shit
happens.
like that.
or
And,
everything
you
goes,
could
and
still have
can't
that
control
same
it
final
anyway.
battle and everything, and have the end be that the war stops because he's dead, but have it be more of the narrative that he's fighting this battle because of PTSD. He's accidentally causing all this war.
So he's the one who causes the war, but it's
he doesn't. He's
can't
not.
control
He's
it.
not like. He's not like.
It's
he
just
was
his
sucked.
very
He-
exist. It's just his
his
very
existence as the concept of war.
Interesting.
Okay, before this turns into our first 25-minute episode, we should probably wrap this up.
All right. Guys.
Yeah, I still feel like
Thank
while that
you.
is interesting, I still just think that kind of contradicts the message that Chris Pine gives in his monologue. That it's not that we can't blame war on just one thing. It's all humans' fault individually.
I mean,
Yeah, I think it would have to be a different message of them.
it would
that
probably
would
have to
no
be a
longer
different
the
message.
essential
Exactly.
part of the movie.
That aspect would change more than one aspect. Let's be fair. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me again.
Yeah, thanks for
And,
having us. It was a lot of fun.
Let's next topic, bitches.